the opt-outs are now official. Deadline was yesterday, Thursday at 4 o'clock. The Browns, the second most in the NFL, as they had 5 guys, 4 of them offensive linemen, 3 of those 4 guards. And Andrew Billings, another guy that was likely going to be a starter, big contributor on the defensive side of the ball. How big of a void is there now at offensive guard for the Browns with 3 of those guys opting out?
It's more of a depth issue, I think, because most of those guys outside of Drew Forbes, you didn't really have in your mind as competing at that guard position. Drew Forbes was the guy that would have had an opportunity, but at the same time, I don't even know if you looked at him as a guy that was going to win that job. I actually think Andrew Billings is the guy that stands out to me that you're going to miss the most. But as far as the offensive line is concerned, you still have, the guy who ended last year as your starter. I still think Nick Harris is going to have something to say about that position before the end of training camp. I find it really hard to believe this team drafted a backup center, especially after what Kevin Stefanski had to say about J.C. Treader today. I think Harris will have a say in that. So the good news is, yes, they had the second most opt-outs, but it wasn't like the guys in New England who opted out, who were starters, guys you were going to count on. A lot of these guys were depth guys, and some of them might not have even made the roster.
Yeah, the Patriots had the most with 8 guys that opted out. You mentioned Billings, and again, I don't think anybody should criticize any of these guys for opting out. That's a personal thing. It's a health thing. You certainly have to understand the thought process, and the Browns, to their credit, Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry have said that. We understand the concerns. Billings is a guy that they really were counting on to be that middle run stuffer guy and maybe even get some pressure on the quarterback that this defense has lacked.
Yeah, it's no coincidence, too, that the guys who opted out for the Browns were the bigger guys, right? The offensive lineman and the defensive lineman. We know that's a higher risk category. Just the reality of it is there's the personal side of it, and no one's going to criticize that, but we also have to talk about it in a football light. And in the football light, Andrew Billings, it really hurts this football team that he's not here. He's a guy they obviously liked. They signed him away from Cincinnati. I was really interested to see how he would fit in this defensive tackle rotation. I think he's a guy that really can be a strong run stopper and really could have helped this team in that regard. So now they just have to find someone else to step into that rotation. It's the next man up mentality of the NFL. You've got Larry Ogunjobi and Sheldon Richardson. You drafted Jordan Elliott. It puts a little more pressure on him. And now you just need to maybe find that 4th guy because they do want to have a strong rotation along that defensive line.